Greetings. I want to talk about nature today. Nature, our greatest teacher of creation, of how creation works. I think most can agree that if we spend time in nature, by rivers, by the sea, in the forest, or on mountains, we feel a lot better. There is something about that which is living, which is in its natural state, that has a very calming effect on our nervous systems. And simply by watching or observing nature, we can gain a lot of clarity and understanding about whatever we have going on in our lives at any given time. My manual of the subtle body anatomy is an invitation to a return to the innate divine design of nature itself, the nature that lives and informs our physical body, our mental body, our emotional body, and our spiritual or consciousness body. For if we want to know how nature functions, we don't need to look any further than our own body. If there's a lot of discord or disconnection within ourselves, it can be quite scary and it can feel uncomfortable when we first stop to notice what's going on within ourselves. Because the first thing that we usually notice, if we're normally quite busy doing or fixing, is the patterns or the shadows that are fueling all and any survival strategies that are mostly unconscious. And I've found in my work with people that when the invitation is to listen instead of imposing fixing strategies on top of survival strategies that are already operating, we come to balance and peace within ourselves much more quickly. So if we're going to be practicing any mind-body practices, it's very, very useful to have an idea of the different aspects and components that make up our biology, our physiology, our psychology, and also our consciousness. So we know that everything is vibration. This entire creation operates on frequency, sound, and vibration. And all living things are energy, even the things that we might say are dead. Everything is energy. Yeah, everything is composed of electricity and magnetism. In yoga, this is called the sun and the moon, or the plus and the minus. It's simply electromagnetism. So first of all, to acknowledge that these two opposing forces are what create the tension and the physical expression and manifestation of the more subtle bodies, meaning our beliefs, our thoughts, and our perceptions, is a good start. We see these two forces expressed in the what is called in yoga Ida and Pingala Nadi. We see it expressed in the yin and the yang meridians of the organ and meridian pairs in Chinese medicine. And when we understand how these currents move and function in our bodies, we can arrive at balance and harmony much more quickly when we actually work according to the principles of nature as they are manifest and functioning in our bodies. That there's little guesswork needed to arrive at balance. But a lot of the time we might have to examine the beliefs and the perceptions of how things function or how we think they should function, and instead actually simply come to acknowledge and allow true fact to inform us, rather than holding on to the belief that we already know how things should be working. So there's a little bit of humbleness required when we come to meet creation, the creation that is our bodies, yeah, and its enormous potential and capacity. You might want to take a breath here. It's also useful to have an understanding of how our physical body is influenced and how it functions because of its composition of elements. In terms of our earthly existence, we have earth, water, fire, air, and ether, the 5 elements of creation of our earthly cosmology. In Chinese medicine, we have the elements of the organ pairs, which are earth, metal, water, wood, and fire. And we notice the omission of the element of air in there, and we can see that all of those elements are earthbound. Yeah. Of course, without fire, without air, there's no fire. So that comes into it at some point. Yeah, that's for you to contemplate. When we look at the subtle body, we meet what is called the pranic, or the vital or the energy body. Prana or chi is known as life-creating energy or life force. And it's this energy of the plus and the minus of all of creation meeting in the waters of the second chakra. This is why pranamaya kosha is ascribed to the second chakra, which element is water. And as water carries electricity, it also gives life. It allows whatever frequency or vibration of electromagnetism to take form. Yeah. So in any practices that we do, it's very, very useful to have an idea of these things. Once we begin to look at how vibration creates matter, then we also need to look at how our thoughts create certain vibrations. And it's not that difficult really to to examine how, if we change our thoughts from a negative spiral into an attitude of prayer or positivity or gratitude, we can quite easily notice how we can change how we feel. Yeah. The only problem with that is that if we're constantly required to only use positive thought to override negative thought, we're constantly in a bit of a battle or a struggle. Whereas when we shift our attention from either positive or negative thought, I'm just calling it that, it's just vibration in reality. Yeah. When we shift our attention from the ripples on the surface of the water, we come to see that there is something that is being given in each moment that we don't need to have a belief or a thought about in order to receive it. Yeah. This is life itself or nature. It's how nature functions. Yeah. We're constantly being given life in each moment. And when we really look a little bit deeper, we see that it's only our beliefs and our perceptions about reality that either allow this life force to fully reach us and move through us in a vital way, or that derails this life force into, it can be into survival patterns. It can be based on trauma. It can be based on ancestral entanglements. It can be based on any of the shadow sides of our archetypal patterns. Anywhere where we've given our life-creating energy to the upholding of that which isn't true, that takes a lot of energy. So I just wanted to share this reflection and to offer an invitation for us to come back to the innate divine design of nature and creation. And subtle body anatomy is really quite a precise map of the principles of nature as they express and are made manifest in our physical bodies. So rather than using the intellectual knowledge to try and fix something which actually isn't broken, it's an invitation to really examine and come to a greater awareness of where our attention is going in any given moment, to understand how that affects both our psychology and our physiology and our entire experience of reality. And it's also an invitation to allow ourselves to truly know who we are as a living soul, when we don't need to be at war with creation itself. Once we allow ourselves to actually feel and acknowledge the immensity of creation that we are, it's a very different vibration. It's a very different way of moving through the world, where we don't need to put energy into fueling the idea of the identity, but rather receiving the soul power, the individuated soul power that each of us are of the divine. And there's nobody else that can take that journey for you. It has to come from an inner desire to know your own nature, to come to know that which creates you. So this manual is, it's a map of sorts that might be useful in navigating especially all of the different psychological aspects of our participation in reality. And yeah, I hope you get lots of learning and lots of growth and a lot of beauty in your coming back to your own divine nature.